These cars are seriously fast, and this track is incredibly brutal. Together, they make a dangerous combination.
It's a little bit sideways. Bang. Causes more damage.
These precision machines are about to set the track on fire.
Hi everyone and welcome to round 2 of the Australian GT Championship presented by Pirelli. Today on the streets of Adelaide. Well, it's all about exotic cars in this category. There's Audi, Lamborghini, Ferrari, Porsche and of course Mercedes-Benz. It's a championship that has been spiced up this weekend with some superstar drivers who are set to lift the level.
Ex-Formula One driver Christian Clean has to be one of the highest profile names ever to compete in the Australian GT Championships thanks to Erebus Racing.
I had one test day in the Mercedes SLS car a couple of weeks ago, and it's a beautiful car to drive. It's well prepared from the Erebus team, so I'm expecting that we do quite well this weekend. Heard a lot about the Clipsal race, and obviously back in the Formula One days, I watched the race every year. So I'm very glad to be here and try out the racetrack here.
And Erebus Racing are doing all they can to ensure a win by drafting in another professional driver in Kiwi legend Craig Baird.
Yeah, it was a bit of a late call-up. It was the first time I drove it was on Thursday, so the car's going to be a little bit different to drive than what I'm used to. It's I sort of sit in it and it seems quite long out the front, so with all the concrete around here, it'll take a little bit of getting used to, but you know, there's some good competition out there, so look, at the end of the day, I've just got to do the best job I can in the car, and you know, I'm just really looking forward to it.
But one man who is not shying away from the challenge is last year's series champion Clark Quinn.
We're just coming in with, you know, try to win back-to-back championships, and that's always the goal for any champion. And you know, so we're coming into this race meeting, Clipsal. I love Clipsal. For the last 2 years, won every race and qualified on pole in the last 4 races we've been here. So really looking forward to it, and you know, we'll see what comes of it.
Yes, some big names in this one. Cars out on the warm-up lap. One of Australia's favourite street circuits, the Adelaide Grand Prix track. And it's the Australian GT Championship. Steve Johnson alongside me for this one. And have a look at this front row.
How good is that? You know, you've got 2 world-class drivers there. Craig Baird, Christian Clean in the Erebus Motorsport Mercedes-Benz. Clark Quinn, last year's champion, starting out at P3. He's been on pole the last 2 years here, so he's going to be charging through, no doubt, the first couple of laps.
The whole way down this grid, just have a look at some of these makes of car. You got Audi, you got Porsche, Ferrari, Ginetta, Aston Martins, Lamborghinis, absolutely packed full. 21 cars taking the start, a rolling start. This is going to be good.
Now Beardo's on the inside here, even though he's in P2, so he's going to want to get down the inside of Clean.
He's got the sit onto the centre chicane.
He's got it.
Takes it.
Oh, and Ormsby straight across the chicane there. Very, very tight chicane start in these races, and you see that a lot in every category, that people cutting the chicane. Let's see how they go up here into Wakefield Street in turn 3.
Oh, Weeks up the inside of Koutsamides, pushes him out wide. Armand will have a look at this as well. They run panels.
Yeah, you don't want to do that on the first lap of an hour-long race. You know, that could put you straight out of the race, flat tire, anything could happen, but looks like we're all good to go from here on.
Clean has the Porsche all over the back of him right now. Clark Quinn trying to break this Erebus partnership.
And you can see they've just broken away at the front there. Just those first 3, the 2 Mercedes and Clark Quinn. Everybody here coming onto the back straight. How good's that? So fast. Clark Quinn got a good run through turn 8 there. Down the inside. He wanted to get past Clean early on in the race, and you know, he's done that. What a great move.
You cannot afford to let 2 teammates control the race from the front. That's exactly what the VIP Pet Food Porsche's done about this. He's split them up.
You know, we know Clark. Clark is very determined this year to back-to-back his championship wins. You know, all good to do one championship, but to back it up with a second really, really, you know, makes it good within yourself, and obviously just basically put your foot down into this category and say, hey, I'm here at the front.
So a fairly clean first lap. And the battle further back continuing. Porsches and Audis.
It's always tight coming down here into turn 9. Here you get Tony Quinn up the inside. Good move on Wong. Oh, it's a Porsche there.
Well, it was Keith Wong that he went up the inside. And I think that might have been Armand getting way out over the curbs as well. Only a young racer onto the back of Tony Quinn.
Now, this is a brand new Aston here of Tony Quinn's, different to the one that he's had here in the previous. Oh, and we've got one of the Lamborghinis off in the grass on the last corner.
Justin McMillan, he's parked way out in the grass, not too sure what's happened there. And the Aston's just touched the wall. It's in an awkward position on the last corner. I wonder if there was contact with Armin. Let's have a replay. This is the Lambo of McMillan. Big tag slapper.
Got it, I haven't got it.
Oh, it was just maybe just touching the grass during the braking area.
You can see Tony Quinn here, yeah, you can see the Lambo there off on the bottom of the shot. Tony Quinn just gets tagged by the back of by the front of Armand in the back corner of the car. Just turns him around. Luckily, he didn't hit that fence hard enough to do any damage.
Back at the front of the field, and our top three are absolutely streets ahead. Two Mercs and a Porsche on the streets of Adelaide fighting this one out. It's going to be good. Welcome back to Adelaide, where the battle is heating up in the Australian GT Championship. Clark Quinn is under severe pressure from Christian Clean, and Clean's going to have a look up the inside into the hairpin. Not quite there, Steve.
No, not quite there. He tried to set him up through turn 8 then, and just couldn't get the run through down on the dirty side into the turn 9 hairpin there. As we're looking back at some of these magnificent cars, you know, you can see Porsches, you see Lamborghinis, and there is the 4th place Lamborghini of Roger Largo. And interestingly enough, this is, you know, Roger's doing a fantastic job, but 3 seconds slower on his previous lap to Craig Baird. That is the difference between, you know, these gentlemen racers who are doing a fantastic job, and in 4th place, mind you, compared to the professionals like Craig Baird, and that's why you see those 3 up the front, well in front of these guys.
He's got Andrew Taplin behind him, albeit a fair bit down the road in the Ferrari. So Taplin with a few cars in between the lappers to get through. There's one of the Ginettas in front of Largo. That's next up.
You can see Largo there on the headlights trying to say, hey, get out of my way. I am trying to stay in front of Taplin here.
This battle for second continues. VIP Pet Foods Porsche is chasing down Craig Baird, who's our leader at the moment. Craig Baird's driven that car before, actually, at the Bathurst 12 Hour.
He has indeed. And you can see here, the Porsche did have a quite a big advantage over the Mercedes here last year. The Mercedes have had a few leg ups in regard to their restrictor and their horsepower. So you can see that the Mercedes has actually really come of age now with these changes. A little bit of aero as well, so they've definitely bridged that gap to that Porsche. And it looks like the Mercedes-Benz has actually got a little bit better tyre life than Clark's Porsche here, but the Porsche seems to handle the curbs better on the street circuit. So, you know, you get some positives and some negatives in both cars, but as you can see, they're both very equal on track.
In terms of these drivers, I mean, they're polar opposites of the scale. You've got our Australian champion up against the Austrian hotshot, 30 years old, Christian Clean, former Jaguar F1 teammate of Mark Webber a few years back.
They are the same height.
That's about where the difference has stopped, but at the moment, Quinn doing an awesome job to hold off the Merc. Turn 4 and one more chance represents no.
Absolutely not. Like, Clark is very good under brakes, so Christian's going to have to really work hard to try to get the run on Clark, you know, and I wouldn't be surprised if he sits there and waits for the pit stops to try to get past this Porsche, because at the moment, when you're behind this Porsche, I've seen it in real life, it is very wide.
They're behind another Porsche right now in Keith Wong, but they've just managed to get it right out of turn 7, the long run up to turn 8. Steve, such an awesome part of this racetrack.
It is, and you know, sitting on the left-hand side of these cars too, you cannot see the apex of turn 8, which is very dangerous. In the V8 supercar, you can see Christian Clean actually here trying to just get out of the air behind the Porsche, cool his brakes down. He can hopefully have a shot at him in another lap or two, but yeah, sitting on the other side compared to the V8 supercar, you can't spot that apex, and it's a very, very dangerous corner, 200 plus k's an hour. And you can see here, Taplin has really caught up to the back of Largo and is really hounding him for 4th spot. Oh, and just hits the curb. You don't want to do that too often. That could have ended up in the outside wall very, very quickly indeed. He's very lucky.
Wow, heart and mouth moment there for the Ferrari. Taplin under this rear wing, the big rear wing of the Lambo. Roger Largo in the white Lamborghini out towards the wall.
I think you can see here, these two cars would probably cover the first 3 or 4 rows in price-wise on the grid of the V8 supercars, I think. You know, very expensive cars, very, very state-of-the-art in the way, traction control, and they've got paddle shift. You haven't got any, obviously, gear levers, etc. Oh, and then you see Clark Quinn just using a little bit of that traction control sideways out of turn 5.
Things are getting a little bit more desperate here for Christian Clean. He's got to get around this Porsche if he's ever going to chase down his teammate. Baird is long gone up the road. 45 or 44 minutes left in this race, and if he's going to chase him down, he's got to get around Clark Quinn very, very quickly.
He doesn't. You can see these cars, the difference between these cars, they're so low, they've got so much aerodynamics. They can't use the curbs like the V8 supercars. They can't just bounce off them. Things will break, things will fall off, and they're not built to be bashing around on massive curbs and street circuits. They're built for places like Phillip Island and those nice flowing aerodynamic style circuits. But having said that, they are as fast, if not a little bit faster, than the V8 supercars around this track.
Pit stop's not far away. This battle looks set to continue for the whole race. Plenty more to come here in Adelaide. The Australian GT Championship, and the lights are ablaze for Craig Baird, our race leader, finding his way through some heavy traffic in this 1 hour race.
Absolutely, Craig's going to have to be careful through this traffic, and Koutsoumides just cuts him off there through turn 11. That's the difference between some of these cars, the speed difference, not only because there are different classes within the class, but these SLSs are absolutely phenomenal car, very fast, and he's going to have to be careful getting through this because it could cause him big problems later in the race.
Thankfully, the Ginetta saw him coming. That's running in our sports category, so a bit further down the list. So go back into the centre chicane, bouncing over the curbs.
Same again there. You can see Craig's lights ablaze there. There is a button on the steering wheel of the SLS which he just touches, and you can see it there. It flashes about 10 to 12 times.
Further back, Roger Largo still continuing his battle with Andrew Taplin, the 458 GT3, up the inside of the 360 Challenge.
Yeah, you can see the difference there. A lot difference in the shape of the car. Different class totally.
Clark Quinn in the Porsche holding down second position in this race, and he's dropped Christian Clean now, who has entered the pits.
Absolutely, yeah. You want to see Clark. He's coming up here on some lap traffic. If I was him, I'd want to get in the pits soon so he can get back out in front of Christian Clean. As he says that, he heard me.
It's exactly what he's done. A bit more traffic coming up the road, and the best option, just bring it into the pits.
Now you'll see Clark coming into the pits there. He's going to have a slightly shorter pit stop than Clean did, being that Clean, the status of being an ex-F1 driver, full professional. He's going to actually have a little bit less time in the pits here, so let's see if he can get in and out and stay in front of Clean like he was on track.
So Largo now will move up the order a bit further. He's second on the racetrack now.
Largo's doing a great job here. He's hanging out. I reckon the best option for Roger would be to hang out, wait for hopefully a safety car, and that would really bunch him back right up to the leaders. And as we've seen, a lot of the cars, a lot of the back markers have actually been lapped by the leaders. So if Roger can stay on the lead lap, he could even get in front of those two cars that we were just talking about, Clark Quinn and Christian Clean.
This is when strategy starts to play a part. Here is Christian Clean back out on track after his pit stop, and because he had that longer stop, has lost a bit of time. He's got a good half an hour to make that up, though. He's going to have to put in some really strong lap times. He was your pole sitter in the 1 minute 20s. He might not be pulling 1 minute 20s now, down in the 22s and 21s, but he needs to put in some very strong laps. Dean Koutsoumides in the Audi.
This is a nice tight little bunch here, mid-race.
Brendan Cook in the Porsche.
And then you see the Ginetta behind there. Great little car, only about 970 odd kilos in weight. Little 3.5 litre V6, but very, very good power to weight ratio.
Speaking of great cars, these Audis have made such a splash on Australian motorsport as he blocks Cook over to the right-hand side into the hairpin.
Oh, looks like he's overcooked it a bit there too under brakes. Cook gets a good run. Yeah, you can see he's really gained a lot of time there up onto the back of him.
Too much time looking in the mirrors.
Oh!
Huge fight. It looks like
Mark Griffith.
Yeah, it's Griffith and smoke pouring out the front end. I thought maybe fire at first, but I think this might just be a blown engine.
Now that looks like it's coming through turn 3. Yeah, it is. Coming through turn 3. Oh, look at the flames out the back.
He's slipped on oil, his own oil, I might add, and he's just kept it out of the wall, so he's done a pretty good job to stop that thing.
He's done a great job. That's a fast corner there in turn 3. Look at this shot.
Smoke pouring out the front end of the Ginetta.
You can't even see where he's going. There's smoke in the cabin everywhere. You can see it here. He's lost the back of it.
Wow. All that oil heating up, igniting, slipping around. Amazing that he didn't get collected by someone coming through that oil and smoke.
And amazing that nobody else has actually gone off on his oil. There is a lot of oil down there through turn 3, and you'll see that flag out now. That oil flag will be out, and everybody should be taking extra caution through there.
So definitely a safety car situation. Pit lane getting busy. And this is Largo and Taplin. They're continuing their battle in the pits.
Wow, this is going to make it really interesting in the end of the race here. These guys will be most probably in front of Christian Clean, who has already pitted. Craig Baird hasn't pitted yet. He's going to massively benefit from this. You can see Clean there behind the safety car. The safety car will let people pass in order to get the order back correct before the restart of the race. And here's Baird getting around all that oil dropped down by Mark Griffiths.
So the safety car out controlling this field at the moment, but it's going to be very close when we get back to racing. We're back racing in Adelaide, the Australian GT Championship, and Rod Salmon in the Audi.
He's got some smoke coming from the back of that car.
Is this a tyre rubbing? He's got Christian Clean all over it.
Actually, yeah. It looks like there's been a bump on the rear bar there, and it's pushed it underneath the right-hand rear tyre. Clean gets past him, but you don't want that rubbing for too long.
The battle further up ahead. This is actually the battle for third position here between Taplin and Quinn, and Quinn's going to look to the inside of the chicane.
Oh, this is tight down here into turn 1, very tight. You can see Craig Baird there in the background flashing his lights. He's actually a lap up on these guys. He probably doesn't realise that the way he's driving, he's really charging into the corners and driving like he needs to get past Clark.
They're queuing up behind the Lamborghini of Roger Largo.
Oh, there's Rod Salmon. He's had a big spin through turn 8.
That is a terrifying spot to loop a car around.
Just looking at the marks on the ground there, and this is getting tight. Baird still doesn't realise he's a lap up on these guys.
Right up the back of the Lamborghini of Largo. No safety car yet.
Roger Largo is in second position. Bairdo doesn't realise that he is right behind the second place guy, and he would have been a lap in front of everybody in the field, and he's still driving like a man possessed.
He's driving like this is the battle for the lead. He'd be confused as to why there's blue flags ahead of him actually right now.
Absolutely, and coming up into turn 8 here, there'll be yellow flags up in this sector for Rod Salmon.
Careful, careful, careful. This isn't the
Beardo
spot to do it.
Beardo won't be able to pass here. I won't be surprised if... Oh, this is tight.
Jeez.
This is dangerous. They need to get a safety car out now. They can't leave that car there for too much longer.
They've given it plenty of room, haven't they? And I think now safety car has been called for. Everybody certainly seems to be slowing down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although no boards here, so Baird's going to continue this battle to the inside of the Lamborghini.
You can see that there's yellow flags out. Here they are on the right there with the SC board. Oh, Salmon's got going again, but that car is going nowhere but the escape road down into turn 9. This is going to give Roger Largo a massive, massive advantage over the rest of the field behind him. He's in P2. And now he's going to get a free pass all the way around to the back of the train, and here's a replay of Rod Salmon.
Okay, coming through turn 8. Oh my goodness.
What about Weeks behind?
The Lamborghini is going to hit the invisible gap. Aim for the smoke. It's an old school rule.
Oh, go high, go high. He's been watching Days of Thunder.
Oh,
that was
crunch.
unbelievable.
And then it nearly comes back in front of the Aston Martin of Tony Quinn. The Ginetta just finds its way through. Yellow flags, and the entry to turn 8 would have been absolutely vital. And after all of this, we're going to go green with just one lap to go.
Craig Baird in the lead. Behind him is Clark Quinn. Now, he's actually in third position. Oh!
Kutsamides up the inside of one of the Porsches. It was Armand who goes bouncing over the curbs at the centre chicane.
Oh, and here you see Christian Clean trying to get up the inside of Taplin. This is a race for position.
These guys are scrambling for fourth at the moment. It's all gone horribly wrong for Clean after starting from pole position. Really got messed up in that safety car scramble. He pitted early and it cost him, but he's all over the back of the Ferrari.
And he will know this is his only opportunity to get in front of Taplin here. You got Roger Largo, who actually got a free pass, getting all the way around from the safety car period to the back of the grid. He's effectively nearly a lap up on these guys, so he's in P2. Beardo at the front. Here's Clark Quinn in third. Behind here, Taplin in fourth and Clean in fifth, trying to get round some lap traffic.
It's Kutsamides in the Audi that they slip up the inside of, and this has cost Clean terribly. Lap car in the middle, the sun setting in Adelaide on an exciting 1 hour Australian GT Championship race, and Taplin's got a lap car in between himself and Clean in fourth.
And here comes Baird to finish off the hour-long race. Third place, it's very, very strange to call third place right behind him, is Clark Quinn. perfect race for Baird, perfect strategy, executed perfectly, and won by nearly a lap on everybody.
Taplin is home ahead of Christian Clean eventually, and it will be Roger Largo in second position in the Lamborghini, but Craig Baird put on a perfect display leading every single lap of that race.
Fantastic run by Roger Largo to finish ahead of last year's champion Clark Quinn. Awesome for Andrew Taplin in fourth, and Christian Clean rounds out the 5.
Well, Craig, aside from no doubt the pleasure you got from driving this beautiful machine, a great result as well. Everything fell into your hand, really.
Yeah, it did. Obviously, the way the penalty systems work in the race with the pit stops, we had to build a pretty handy lead at the beginning of the race. So we sort of stretched out, I think it was about 27 seconds. And we were just about to pit, and then we got a safety car as well. So that nearly put a lap on the field. So, yeah, it was nice. It was... you know, I was a little bit stressed. I hadn't raced the car, and I knew the start would be reasonably good because I had the inside line again. Rolling starts pretty hard to get an advantage, so inside line and just put my head down and went for it.
Craig Baird showing that he is one of the best in the business, and for an hour-long race, that was pretty action-packed.
It was a lot of action, a lot of excitement, you know, and if that's anything to go by for this year, the Australian GT Championship is going to be one hell of a year.
Beautiful cars putting on one awesome show here in Adelaide. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon.